You know that feeling when you finally get something you've worked so hard for, but the celebration feels hollow? Today, we're diving into that strange, empty feeling that can show up right after our biggest wins. And we're going to look at the ancient story of the prophet Elijah to really get a handle on why it happens, and more importantly, what we can do about it.
It's such a weird thing, isn't it? You pour your heart and soul into reaching a goal, you finally cross that finish line, and then nothing. The cheering stops and you're just left there thinking, wait, is that all there is?
Maybe you spent years grinding away for that big promotion. You told yourself, once I get that title, I'll finally be set. I'll be happy. But then, you get it, and the stress is still there. That empty feeling hasn't gone anywhere. In fact, sometimes it feels even bigger.
Or hey, maybe it wasn't a career goal. Maybe you fought a really tough personal battle. You beat an illness, you finished a marathon, you got through a really messy family situation. You expect this huge wave of relief and joy, but what you actually feel is just a deep, crushing exhaustion.
Look, if any of that is resonating with you, I want you to know you are definitely not alone. And this isn't some new, modern problem we've invented. This is a feeling that people have been wrestling with for thousands of years.
To really understand this on a deeper level, we're going to look at the story of one guy who experienced this post-victory crash in probably the most dramatic way possible. His name was Elijah.
And listen, we are not talking about a small win here. Elijah had just pulled off a massive, public, completely undeniable miracle. He was at the absolute peak of his game.
So, let's just paint the picture of this victory. You've got Elijah, standing all by himself on a mountain, facing down hundreds of hostile prophets. He prays for a sign, and bam! Fire falls from the sky. It was a spectacular, mic drop moment, a total and absolute public triumph. Now, you'd think after that he'd be on top of the world, right? Feeling invincible. But what happens next is a really powerful lesson in just how fragile we can be, even in what we think are our strongest moments.
So right on the heels of this incredible high, the evil queen Jezebel sends him a single message, a death threat. And the same guy who just fearlessly stared down hundreds of prophets, he completely falls apart. He runs for his life, totally undone by one person's threat.
What's going on inside him is so key. It wasn't just fear that broke him. It was this perfect storm, this cocktail of fear, yes, but also just profound physical and emotional exhaustion from the battle he just fought. And on top of all that, this deep, deep sense of isolation. He felt completely and utterly alone. That combination was the breaking point.
He goes a full day's journey into the wilderness, collapses under a tree, and he says this: "The man who just called down fire from heaven is now asking to die." It's just a shocking, raw moment that really shows you how burnout can take anyone, even the strongest of us, to their absolute lowest point.
So how does God respond to this raw, painful despair? Well, not with a lecture, not with a big show of power. The response is, well, it's surprisingly gentle and practical.
God doesn't scold him. There's no, "Elijah, what's wrong with you? Pull yourself together." The very first thing that happens addresses his basic human needs. It's his beautiful recognition that sometimes what looks like a spiritual crisis is actually at its core a crisis of being a depleted human.
God sends an angel, and the instructions couldn't be simpler. First, just let the man sleep. Then, wake him up, give him some food and water, and then do it all over again. It's rest and nourishment. Before any big spiritual talk, God takes care of Elijah's exhausted body.
So after he's had some time to recover, Elijah travels to a mountain to hear from God directly. And a bunch of dramatic things happen. There's a destructive wind, a powerful earthquake, a blazing fire. All these huge shows of power that he was probably expecting. But God wasn't in any of them.
Instead, God's presence shows up in the silence after all the chaos. It's described as a gentle whisper, a still, small voice. And the message couldn't be clearer. Real connection, real restoration, it's not always found in the big, loud spectacle. It's found in the quiet, gentle presence. So what does this ancient story about a prophet having a breakdown in the desert have to do with us today, trying to manage our own modern-day burnout? Well, as it turns out, it has everything to do with us.
I think this story teaches us some really important things. First, being burnt out doesn't mean you failed, it just means you're human. Second, feeling despair doesn't disqualify you from your purpose. And the way back, the path to restoration, it often starts with the simple stuff: rest and basic care. It's this amazing reminder that you can feel like you have absolutely nothing left in the tank,
and your purpose can still be renewed.
If you take one thing away from this whole story, let it be this. We always think we have to show up strong, have it all together, but this story shows us that connection, that real help, it often finds us when we're at our weakest, when we're at our most vulnerable.
So, the next time you feel that emptiness after a big win or a huge effort, remember Elijah. And just ask yourself this: what if the answer isn't to push even harder? What if it's not about finding the next mountain to climb? What if the very first step toward getting better is just to stop, to rest, and to listen for that still, small voice?